Hebrews 5:8. KJV. Though he were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered. In the 1970s, modern education methods began adopting the concept that every individual had a method by which they best received and processed information. The top 7 methods have been listed as verbal, kinesthetic, logical, auditory, interpersonal communication, interpersonal, and visual. These top 7 styles of learning have been integrated in modern classrooms ever since. While the theory is not without harsh criticism, backed up by almost 200 clinical studies, it nevertheless remains popular among U.S. educators. What every single style of learning has in common is the simple fact that they must be experienced by the one being educated. For instance, a verbal learner, one who learns by talking it out and listening, must experience the auditory information and instruction in order to process and learn best. The kinesthetic learner understands best with a hands-on approach. Hence they must experience the touch of a process to best intake a concept, and on it goes. As it turns out, it is experience that is the best teacher, regardless of the method preferred by an individual. Today's verse tells us exactly that. The previous 4 chapters leading up to today's verse in Hebrews chapter 5 lay out the superiority of Jesus over the angels, the deity of the Son, and how Jesus fulfills the eternal role of high priest. As such, our doctrine of the triune nature of the Godhead becomes clear. Yet, today's verse says that Jesus learned obedience. How? If Jesus was, and is God in the flesh, did he not already know this? Well, it is not that he did not have foreknowledge of what obedience was. It is not that he did not foreknow what the results of obedience would cost him. Rather, it is that he became flesh, dwelling among us. Jesus experienced first-hand a mortal existence. As such, Jesus became our very model of obedience. Not an ethereal concept, ever pondered upon from afar, but a living, breathing man, the God-man, who, being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself, and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Time does not permit me to expound upon each example of how Jesus experienced his obedience in accordance to each of the aforementioned learning methods. But I will attempt a few. Jesus states in John 12:49-50, "For I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment, what I should say, and what I should speak. And I know that his commandment is life everlasting. Whatsoever I speak therefore, even as the Father said unto me, so I speak." Jesus heard the Father and obeyed instruction. Jesus then experienced the pragmatic example of service, combining the kinesthetic and interpersonal methods by washing the feet of his disciples. Jesus visually experienced the crowd, seeing much people, and was moved with compassion toward them, because they were as sheep not having a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. It is by his very life as a man, that God the Son learned obedience. What it means, how it feels, and what it would ultimately cost. My friends, Jesus would have us learn this most blessed experience. Won't you let him live it through you today? More than head knowledge, more than a concept or theory, it is his life to be lived through you. DOTG, at DHBCLV.